morning, students. I hope you have gone through the video what I sent yesterday. Ninth students, diversity of living organisms, that is the topic we are discussing, and we'll continue that today. Okay, diversity of living organisms. In regards of this lesson, we have discussed already how this five kingdom classification has been coming to the force, and also we have discussed about the what is the definition of classification. Classification is nothing but it is a phenomena of classifying the organism. That means a division of organisms, making the organisms into groups based on their similarities, and this will facilitate the easy identification of the organisms. Easily we can identify the organisms because of this classification. Classification is also called as taxonomy. Okay, taxonomy nothing but it's a phenomena of grouping of organisms based on their similarities or based on their dissimilarities or differences. And in this taxonomy, when you go for the word taxonomy, the word taxonomy indicates that every organism will be having a rank. Taxon means rank. Every organism is having the rank. In that particular rank, the position of the organism will be there. Suppose, for example, if you take the organisms, any organism, they are classified into five kingdoms as we have taken that. And these five kingdoms are the top level rank, and in that top level rank there is a least rank also there. There is a least rank. The least rank is species. The least rank is species. Species, a group of organisms. Species means a group of organisms which resemble each other and which interbreed with others of the same category. Once again, the species, the word species, is a group of organisms which resemble each other, which looks same, and which can interbreed with other organisms of the same category. This is called as a species. And the word, the species, the word first given by a scientist called as John Gray. John Gray was the scientist who gave the word species for the first time. Okay, and the species is the least rank, and the kingdom is the highest rank. Kingdom is the highest rank. Okay, so in this from species to kingdom, the total rank wise category which is presented there, that is called taxonomy. That is called as taxonomy. What is those all ranks we will discuss in the next video. Okay, now let us go and discussing about the this five kingdom classification. Okay. All the living organisms are classified into five kingdoms, living organisms. All the living organisms kingdoms. These are all kingdoms. Five. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The first kingdom is Monera. Second one is Protista. Third one is Mycota. Fourth one Plantae. These all already I told you yesterday. Once we will discuss still more details. Animalia is the fifth kingdom. Here the 5 kingdoms that are all the living organisms are classified. Why these are all kept in this order? Because if you take the Monera kingdom, the primitive organisms, the first organisms of the earth, are concerned in the category of Monera kingdom, and all of them are unicellular. Unicellular means they have only one cell in their body, and the total cell will be doing all the metabolic activities. Okay, so they are unicellular and prokaryotic organisms. Unicellular and prokaryotic organisms. Prokaryotic means the organisms which do not have the definite nucleus. The organisms which do not have the definite nucleus, they are called as prokaryotic organisms. So all the Monera kingdom organisms are unicellular and prokaryotic organisms. These are all primitive organisms, the first organisms of the earth. So these are all kept in one kingdom. That is called as Monera. Okay. Almost example is bacteria. Okay. Next, Protista kingdom. These also unicellular organisms. But eukaryotic organisms. Unicellular but eukaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic means the organisms which have the definite nucleus in their cell. And here also these are all unicellular organisms. They have only one cell in their body. So that total cell will do the functions of the body completely. Whatever the functions, whatever the metabolic activities are going on in that organism will be conducted by only one cell. That is the unicellular organisms, and these have the definite nucleus in it. So these are the unicellular and eukaryotic organisms. That is the Protista. Okay. And example almost you might be knowing that amoeba. Of course, I am not going for detail. I will tell you detailedly again. Is all okay. Again, furtherly, these are all divided furtherly as separate sub-kingdoms and phylums, classes. So many different types they have classified. Those all we will discuss very detailed. Okay. And first, why I am saying this one is how these all kingdoms are kept in this order. Why they kept in this order? That I am going to clarify. I am clarifying you particularly. Okay. Next one is Mycota, and here the organisms are multicellular organisms. The organisms are multicellular organisms. Many cells are presented there in their body. Many cells are presented. The work distribution has been done. For example, if a couple who are living in a small house with having only one room, that room will be for them as a kitchen room, dining hall, bedroom, worshipping the God room, that is, as well as storage room. Every activity which is going on in the house will be done in that only one single room. At the same time, if you see another couple of people who are living in a big building having the 5 to 6 rooms, for each work there will be a separate room. There will be a kitchen room, there will be a God worshipping room, and there will be a bedroom, a hall, a drawing room, or some other room, some other room, some other room. It means that in that multi-stored building, every work is distributed in a specialized room. In the single room of houses, every work will be done in the single room only. That is the difference between the multicellular as well as the unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms are organisms which are having only one cell, and every activity will be run in that cell only. Whereas the multicellular organisms, the work distribution will be started from here. That is multicellular organisms. These are all, many cells are presented in these organisms, and work distribution has started. And these are all eukaryotic organisms. You know what is the meaning of eukaryotic? The example is fungi. Example is fungi. All the fungi, mushrooms or aspergillus, I will tell you what are those concerned in this category. And these organisms are saprophytic nutrition will be shown. Saprophytic nutrition means absorption. Absorbative nutrition means these will be depending on these mycota organisms are depending on the dead and decaying materials of the plants as well as the animal's body. Dead and decaying materials, completely dead bodies. On the dead bodies, these will be having a chemical enzymes. Chemicals are presented, they are produced there, and those chemicals will convert that dead material, the solid dead material, into liquid organic matter. Sorry, a solid dead inorganic material converting into liquid organic matter, and that is absorbed by this fungi, and that is the feeding. So this type of nutrition is called as absorbative nutrition or saprozoic nutrition. Absorbative nutrition or saprozoic nutrition. This is the entirely different organisms are presented in this category, and these don't have the chlorophyll at all. Okay, and come to the next one, plankton. These are all so a multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms and eukaryotic organisms. All the plants comes under the category of this kingdom. All the plants. And these are multicellular organisms, and also they have the chlorophyll, they prepare their own food. Okay? And next, and they provide the food to the all other organisms also. Okay? And next one is the Animalia. These also multicellular organisms. Eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic, once again I say, they have the nucleus in their cells. Okay? And example is all the animals. Whatever the animals we have, including the human beings. Whatever the animals we have in our surroundings, including the human beings, comes under the category of this Animalia kingdom. And this is the way from unicellular organisms to unicellular prokaryotic organisms to multicellular eukaryotic organisms. The development has been taken place, the evolution of the organisms has been taken place based on that, and also the number of organisms are presented in these kingdoms. Number of organisms are presented in these kingdoms also. These kingdoms have been kept in order: Monera, Protista, Mycota, Plantae and Animalia. They are the 5 kingdoms have been classified by the all the living organisms, and this five kingdoms classification or this phenomena, this hierarchy has been given by Robert H. Whittaker. Robert H. Whittaker in the year 1969. Till today, this is the 2020, till today we are following the same phenomena which is given by the Whittaker in the year 1969. Okay, and also we might be come across about the different names. Already you might be knowing that all the organisms are having the scientific name, and all the organisms are having the common name also. Each to every region they have the special name, and but this special name, this regional name is not identified by the every people of the world. Let us discuss about that. Okay. So, nomenclature. Nomenclature, it's a theory of nomenclature, or we can say binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. It means that every organism is having the two names in it. Every organism is having the two names in it, and those two names are belong to that organism, and everywhere in the world we can say that name for that organism immediately. Every people will identify that. That is called binomial nomenclature, and this nomenclature is first given by Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus. The Carolus Linnaeus was the scientist who gave this binomial nomenclature. That's what is the meaning of this binomial nomenclature. Why should be given? That we discuss first. Why should we given this binomial nomenclature? Suppose if you take one example, cow. It is an English word, cow. When you go to speaking in Kannada, it is akalu. Okay, and in Andhra, in Telugu language, it is called as avu. In some other language, and some other name will be there. So for every region, one separate name is for this animal. Okay. So if you go to Andhra and say akalu, the people cannot understand that. And if those Andhra people come here and say avu, avu means here snake in Kannada. Avu means snake in Kannada. Avu. Okay, in Telugu it is avu. So here lot of difference is there between the words with regards of regional languages. So there will be lot of confusion with Kannada words. If you go to the other country and say, they never understand. Or Telugu word, if you say in other country, they never understand. So that's why all the people will be in confusion. So to recover from the confusion, to complete elimination of that confusion, the Carolus Linnaeus has proposed the theory called as binomial nomenclature. In this binomial nomenclature, it is the main purpose is to remove the confusion among the people about the names of the organisms. That is the major work. So every organism is having a separate scientific name, and that is called as scientific name because it is taken from a particular languages, that is Greek and Latin languages. Greek and Latin languages. The scientific words are taken from the languages are Greek and Latin languages. Why they have taken only from the Greek and Latin languages? They can taken from the Telugu, they can taken from the Kannada, they can taken from the Hindi, or they can taken from the English. But they have selected the scientific names are given to the organisms are taken from only Greek and Latin languages because, for example, if you take this English language, what is the some word I will write here. So this is the word English language, vitamins. The pronunciation of this word is vitamins. Very, very important material, food material. Actually the spelling is V-I-T-A-M-I-N-E-S, vitamins. Now it is 15 years back everyone used to write this is the vitamins. Now at present the spelling of this one is vitamins. V-I-T-A-M-I-N-S. E has been removed. E has been removed from that. It means what I am going to tell you is, if a language is in use, it will be amended for our convenience. It will be amended. Amended means taking changes in the language for our convenience. Here, by removing the E, the meaning will not be changed. The same meaning will be there. Okay. So we remove the E there. So this type of amendments will be taken place in the regional languages, and the people may be confused because of the regional languages. As I told you that cow will be called as Akalu in Kannada, Avu in Telugu, and like that different names are there. So to remove this confusion and not to get any kind of amendments, changes in the language, the scientific names have been taken from the only Greek and Latin languages. Only from Greek and Latin languages. And those scientific names, let us see one. Suppose if you take the mango tree, Mangifera indica. This is the scientific name of mango tree. Scientific name of mango tree is Mangifera indica. Okay. So every scientific name is having the two names in it, as I told you that binomial nomenclature given by Carolus Linnaeus. Okay. So the two names, this name can be divided into two parts. The first name indicates that genus, second name indicating that species. Sorry. The first name is indicating that species, the second name is indicating that genus. As I told you that there is in the taxonomy, the classification of the living organ, they have the ranks: species, genus, family, class, order and kingdom. These are the ranks. The least rank is species, highest rank is kingdom. So in between this species and kingdom, there are so many ranks are there. In such one rank is genus. So a scientific name is having the two names in it, that is one is species name, another one is genus. So here the species name 1 minute. Okay, this binomial nomenclature, I don't want to make you confusion, so that I will teach this one separately, another video, you will understand very nicely. Then this binomial nomenclature will be taught once again in the next video very clearly with very good examples. In that video, I will give you some other scientific names of the other organisms also. So please go through this video very clearly and note down the important points in your running notes. Thank you very much.